Paston family, at the height of their land ownership and wealth, possessed houses all across the county of Norfolk. The addresses in documents associated with the Pastons and the mention of various homes indicate where those houses were. The great barn in the village of Paston does survive, but generally, trying to tell you what the properties of the Paston family of the 15th and 16th centuries were like is difficult. Most of the Paston houses, grand and expensive, don't exist any longer. Some just fell down through neglect and through the family becoming too poor to look after them. Storms damaged them, rain came in through the roofs, and sometimes other people decided the stone and bricks would be very useful elsewhere. The castle at Gresham is one of the houses. It wasn't a great castle on a hill, but a big defended house with a moat around it. Pupils from Gresham School went to visit it. Today it is a pile of stones in a field in the village, though you can make out the foundations of the walls, and you have to be careful crossing the moat. This house was knocked down by the enemies of the Pastons. Another house, in the village of Paston, was called Paston Hall. To find out about that house, the Footprints project has used various techniques. It has dug holes in the garden of the Victorian house that's now on that site. Bits of bricks and wall have been found. A system called ground-penetrating radar has been used. It looks down through a couple of meters of the soil to find out what's underneath. This led to the discovery of the foundations of the former house. Experts have looked at bits of brick in the garden. They can work out where that stone has come from. There's even some parts in the letters written by the Paston those 600 years ago that give us clues about the buildings. One letter gives clear instructions on the size and shape of stones to be used. These stones had to be bought by sea from a long way away, as there's no suitable building stone in Norfolk. Using these and other pieces of evidence, we've been able to draw a ground plan of the house. And then, using special techniques on the computer, we've been able to rebuild what the house might have looked like. Finally, looking at other houses from the same time, some of which do survive, the artist can texture and colour in the walls of the building, and the computer can show it as a 3D image. Once we have the 3D image, we can make films from it, and even put people into the picture. Another of the great houses of the Pastons was at Oxnead near Aylsham. In the coming months we hope to rebuild what we think that house looked like. This time there are some drawings which will help. The Pastons lived here on and off for 100 or so years, but it wasn't until the 16th century when Clement Paston, again who'd married well and came into money, also by the fact that he was an admiral in Henry VIII's navy and he'd made a lot of money out of fortune and kidnapping and various other activities, he was able to build this magnificent hall, of which very little remains. The building right at the back, you can see, is all that remains of the original medieval building, which was the servants' quarters. What we see in front of us is the remains of the main standing of the Great Hall, which in its heyday there were 79 rooms. Clement created the main hall and lived here, and then 100 years later William Paston came along and he again built up the hall, but he was the inside, he was the man who collected all the treasures of the Pastons, and they are captured in a wonderful painting known as the Paston Treasure, which hangs in the Norwich Castle Museum. By the end of the project, we hope to have computer models of several of the Paston homes around the county of Norfolk, and to understand more of the family's life and times 600 years ago.